everyone, it's Laura Owen with Remax Momentum, and we're here today to talk about insurance. In light of the Marshall fires and all of the homes and homeowners impacted by that, I thought it was a good opportunity for us to make sure that some of the questions you may have lingering are answered, and that if you have any issues with your current policies, you have an opportunity to take action. So I'm here today with Dave Lowry. He's my insurance agent extraordinaire. He does our insurance, so I trust him immensely, so that's why I'm bringing his information to you. He's with Allstate. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello everybody. Again, as you mentioned, my name is Dave Lowry. I'm an exclusive agent for Allstate Insurance. I've been doing it 20 years now. Father started the agency in '97. I came on board in 2002, and he retired in 2017, so it's all I've done all my adult career. Really enjoy helping people, making sure they get the right coverage for the right price, and make sure that on their worst day they're going to have a good experience and not be angry at their insurance company. And so happy to be here and try and help out and give some information to prevent some future bad situations for everybody.
That's awesome. And you run a nonprofit, or you're part of a nonprofit?
Correct. Yep. It's called Mayhem Racing Charities, and we use car events in the car community to come together and really put our effort and horsepower to good and make sure we're giving back to the community that we're all living in and driving around in. So it's mayhemracingcharities.com. Check it out if you want to join in. You don't have to have a cool car. It's just about doing some good and helping out. So we'd love to see you.
That's actually how we met. Is my son is a car fanatic, and he's like, you got to check out Dave. So a couple questions that I have personally, and this kind of relates to real estate a little bit, is since Boulder County's been declared a disaster relief area, is there going to be any issues with homeowners getting insurance, having new policies? If this is a point in their life where they're like, wow, we need to review our insurance, the disaster itself going to impact rates on them right now?
It's not going to be instant, and they won't have future issues. You know, it won't be an uninsurable area. We can even insure back in the Black Forest area. The biggest thing that wildfires usually cause is then the insurance companies get very hypersensitive about brush hazards, the trees surrounding. And this will be a unique situation because it was a suburb. It was not a forest area. So it'll be interesting to see what maybe guidelines come in, but there's not really many they can implement. It's just going to be a disaster that we'll come back to, and rates will be impacted. You know, probably a year down the road, we'll probably start seeing some of these impacts across the board, would be my assumption. But for the direct Boulder and Superior and residents there, future concerns, they don't need to be worried about insurability.
So if, for example, you're in the home buying process and it's time for you to get your insurance quote so that you can give that to your mortgage lender, it shouldn't be an issue.
No, I wouldn't be concerned about it.
That's good to know. And so something that we have talked a little bit about behind the scenes is that the value of their home goes up every year. That's something we've all been talking about, is how amazing your home value is. And we all know that the cost of building materials have gone up, and that's caused everybody's home's values to go up in relation. My insurance premiums go up annually, or, you know, I guess annually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Annually.
Every year. Yeah.
But how does that impact or play into your coverage? Like, for example, my home was at the time we bought it was a $400,000 home. Now it's $700,000, and so how do I need to make sure that I've got that gap covered?
And again, Colorado insurance has gotten real hard to control because of that. We have a crazy market value. Building supplies have really skyrocketed in the last year, and that all factors into it. And premiums, as you mentioned, they increase due to claims, the size of the claim payouts, cost of labor, so even future claims. If building supplies go up, they have to project that, and that'll cause a rate increase, because they look at, if a claim happens, it's not going to cost them 30% more than what they rated for last year. So that does come into play there too. The Black Forest fire did cause some legislature changes out there, forcing insurance companies to periodically go in and try to update the replacement cost. But really, it's a good idea just every year check in with your insurance agent, no matter who it is, and just ask them about that and see how much coverage you have, and just make sure that it's keeping pace with that.
I used to manage condominiums, and one of the things that we had a building that caught fire. That was a very exciting day that I don't ever want to live again. But something that we ended up hearing from a lot of the homeowners in that instance, because they had HO6 policies, that a lot of them did not have adequate insurance coverage for the demolition, or adequate insurance coverage for the amount of time that they were going to be out. They had coverage for, you know, a couple of months, and it ended up being almost an entire year, because it wasn't as simple as building a single home. We had to rebuild 8 units.
Yeah, and that becomes a big challenge. And again, the Black Forest fire changed that part as well.
Okay.
On main single-family homes, it used to just be 12 months for additional living expenses. Again, one home burns down, that was not a problem. 400 homes burn down, and the contractor might not get to you for a year, and you're already out of additional living expenses. So our single-family home policy do offer 24 months now. For our condominium, the HO6 policies, it's a match of, we can go up to 100% of your personal property coverage. So whatever you have for personal property, whether it be 100,000 or 150,000, we can match that for that additional living expense coverage. And again, that's going to be for all your bills you're now incurring while you're displaced.
And then the demolition cost is another thing where I think a lot of those folks were.
Yeah, the debris removal and such.
Because they didn't, for several of them, they didn't have a full loss, and maybe that's something that folks in this fire situation are dealing with, is that their loss isn't, but all their possessions, that maybe things need to, like just the roof burned, but the whole house has to be demoed or whatever.
Yep, and that is part of the dwelling coverage on property policies.
Okay.
So it does come out. Now we have some extension options in there. We'll go 5% or sometimes an extra 20%. So there's some buffers in there. But your dwelling coverage includes not only the rebuild, but that's going to factor in the debris removal expenses as well.
Okay.
So
what types of things does insurance not cover? So I have some tales from that property management days where I could say like things that people would come to us and say, I'd like to submit an insurance claim on this. I'm like, I am not your insurance agent. And anyways, your insurance is not going to cover that. Like, it's not a warranty company.
Yeah.
So what types of things might people who are looking for insurance online and not getting the help that an expert like you would give them not understand is not covered?
So the big things on the main level of that is going to be flood coverage and earthquake. And flood, they look at if it touches the soil first and then comes into the home, they're going to deem it flood. So an interior water pipe burst, ice maker line, people hear flood's not covered, they get worried about kind of flooding inside out. That's going to be covered. But if it touches the soil first, that's really what they're looking at, is if it touches the ground and then gets into the house, they would consider it flood. You have to have a flood policy through FEMA. And then earth movement, settling of the foundation, those sort of things are not going to be covered under the normal home policy. And then from there, the easiest way to kind of look at it is insurance covers sudden and accidental one-time incidences. So if it's something that's been going on over time, something that's worn out over time, it's generally looked at as maintenance or in that category, and it may not be covered by insurance.
So one of the things that we deal with it seems like almost every transaction in my line of work is the roof. Especially in northern Colorado, we have a hailstorm that has, every couple of years it's going to take out that roof. So the number one thing we always want to make sure is, since the last hailstorm, was the roof inspected? And a lot of times we will find hail damage on a roof that wasn't replaced. A lot of times those sellers will check with their insurance. And now I've heard that there's 2 different kinds of insurance I don't know if it's specifically in regarding to roof, but sometimes people submit it and they walk away and they have to pay a very small deductible, and other times they're like, well, your roof was 20 years old and it had 20 years worth of life and maybe 3 left, and so we're going to insure that last 3.
Yeah, so what you're referring to is replacement cost versus actual cash value. And it's all over the map right now. It's been some big changes in the insurance realm that every company you have to be very direct and ask about it. My company's not any different. We have certain windows of, for the first X amount of time of the roof, we're going to pay full cost for it. And after that, they start seeing it as a maintenance issue. Because again, even if the hail never came out, it's eventually going to need to be replaced. So then it becomes kind of a cost sharing. But we've seen a lot of that. Some companies do it instantly. So even if it's just 2 years old, they're going to take usually about 3% off per year on the depreciation scale. It's going to be based on a 30-year roof cycle, and that's what they're kind of factoring in. So 15 years, you might get 50%, and then you have your deductible coming out of that as well. So then you got to look at your wind and hail deductible. We've seen a lot of big surprises there. A lot of percentage deductibles coming in on wind and hail, and that percentage is not of the claim amount. People always think it's maybe the claim, and it's of your dwelling coverage. So again, as Colorado values go up and we're having $600,000 in dwelling coverage, a 1% is now $6,000 hail deductible, which is not what you buy insurance for.
No, so what's the magic verbiage I need to look for to make sure that if I have a hail claim, I know what my deductible is going to be and there's no surprises?
Yep, so it's asking if it's actual cash value or replacement cost.
And what's the good one?
Replacement cost.
Okay.
Replacement cost is the one you want, and then asking very specifically what your wind and hail deductible is. Actual cash value means they're going to take money away. It sounds good at first. You hear cash and you go, yeah, that's what I want. And that means you're going to lose money at claim time.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other little tidbits that you can think of, cautionary tales for us?
Big thing as this fire has kind of really shined a flashlight on is take the time to go through your house. Take your cell phone these days. Everybody's got a smartphone. Just walk through your house. Open up the closets, under the beds, every nook and cranny of your house. Save it to the cloud. And in a situation like these total losses, they're just going to ask you for a list of your personal property. And they're going to operate on what you tell them. And that's going to be almost impossible. You're dealing with the stress of losing your house, being displaced. It's going to make you very, very, very stressed out, and that's not where you want to be, even more so than you already are. So every year, just take a video of it. It'll update, any decorations, any new furniture. Makes it much easier and a lot less stressful during a claim time. It answers any claim person questions too. They can easily see that you did have anything and just eliminate those scenarios as well. So that's a big thing. From there, my main suggestion is just take the time to understand what you're buying. Once you sign for that policy, all the liability goes to you as the insured. They will say, you signed for it, that is what you bought. I'm sorry that you're not happy, but that's what it was. So don't be afraid to ask the questions, dig into it, and come to me and ask if you'd like. I'm happy to review it, even if you're not with me, and use my experience to help make sure that if there are gaps, we'll point them out, and then you can at least make sure we clear them up one way or the other for you.
In my industry, we're dealing with a lot of things kind of edging out the human portion of what agents do, and really it might seem like a great idea until you have that claim and there's no one to go help you. So same thing with real estate transaction. It sounds all great until you need somebody to ask a question to and there's no one to answer it for you. So
there's a reason they require licenses for both our industries.
Exactly. So I highly advocate for that human connection and having an agent that is in your corner to help you through these times. So thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it. Really, honestly, talk to Dave, and he has reviewed all of our policies, and I was really happy that he did. So we have better coverage at a great rate now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun, and hopefully it helps some people out and dodges some big pitfalls that are starting to pop up out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great. Everybody, if you have any questions, I am going to put Dave's contact information in the post below. You can reach out to him directly. If you can't find it, just reach out to me and I'll get you guys in touch with each other. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day. And hey, happy January. I'm bummed I didn't look up what fancy holiday today was, but have an awesome day. Bye.